The theater lights dimmed slowly, wrapping the audience in a hush so deep it felt almost sacred. On the massive stage stood a young Filipino singer, modestly dressed, shoulders slightly tense, eyes reflecting both fear and unshakable determination. He introduced himself softly, his accent gentle, his story humble. Growing up in a small town where music was more than entertainment, it was escape, survival, and hope. He spoke about his love for Elvis Presley, how his father used to play old cassette tapes late at night, how that voice once filled their tiny home and made their struggles disappear for a few minutes at a time. Some in the crowd smiled politely, others exchanged doubtful glances. Elvis tributes had been done before, many times. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, wearing that familiar expression that said he had heard every promise in the book. The judges nodded, waiting. The singer adjusted the microphone, took a breath that seemed to come from the deepest part of his soul, and as the first note echoed through the hall, something extraordinary happened. Time itself appeared to pause. The sound that emerged was not merely good, not merely impressive, it was haunting. It carried the unmistakable tone, phrasing, and emotional weight of Elvis Presley himself. Gasps rippled through the audience like electricity. Within seconds, disbelief spread across every face in the room. This was not imitation, it felt like resurrection. The singer's voice had that rich baritone warmth, the slight southern drawl, the effortless glide between power and vulnerability that made Elvis immortal. Simon Cowell's eyebrows lifted almost involuntarily. He leaned forward, eyes widening, as if trying to physically move closer to the sound. Heidi Klum covered her mouth. Sofia Vergara whispered, "Oh my God," barely audible. The singer closed his eyes, completely lost in the music, as though the stage had vanished and only the song remained. Each note landed perfectly, not technically cold, but emotionally alive, filled with longing, love, and a kind of old-fashioned heartbreak that modern music rarely dares to touch. As the performance continued, the crowd shifted from shock to awe. People weren't just listening anymore, they were feeling. Some wiped away tears without realizing when they had started to cry. Others sat frozen, afraid that even breathing too loudly might break the spell. The Filipino singer moved subtly, not with exaggerated stage tricks, but with natural, almost instinctive gestures that echoed Elvis's iconic presence. Yet there was something new here, something deeply personal. This wasn't a copy, it was a soul shaped by hardship, channeling a legend through lived experience. His voice cracked slightly on one note, not from weakness, but from raw emotion, and that imperfection made the moment even more powerful. Simon Cowell shook his head slowly, a rare smile forming at the corner of his mouth. He had built his career on honesty, even cruelty when needed, but this left him speechless. The audience rose to their feet before the final note even faded, applause erupting like a tidal wave. When the song ended, silence returned for a heartbeat, one perfect, suspended second, before the theater exploded. Cheers thundered from every corner. The judges stood up instinctively, clapping with genuine disbelief. Simon Cowell remained standing, staring at the singer as if trying to confirm he was real. "I don't understand this," Simon finally said into the microphone, his voice unusually soft. "I've heard Elvis impersonators my whole life. Most of them are terrible. Some are good, but what you just did, that didn't feel like an act." The singer trembled slightly, overwhelmed, tears forming as Simon continued. "It felt like Elvis walked into this theater and chose you as his voice." The audience roared again. For the first time that night, the young man smiled, not a rehearsed smile, but the kind that comes when a lifelong dream suddenly steps out of fantasy and into reality. The judges' comments poured in, each more emotional than the last. They praised not just the sound, but the story, the journey from a small Filipino home to one of the world's biggest stages. They spoke of courage, authenticity, and the rare gift of making millions of strangers feel something real. Simon, still visibly shaken, delivered the line that sealed the moment, "This is why this show exists." The singer placed a hand over his heart, nodding repeatedly, unable to speak. Somewhere in the audience, a fan held up a sign with Elvis's face beside the singer's name, as if history itself had been rewritten. Cameras panned across the crowd, people laughing through tears, strangers hugging, generations united by one unforgettable voice. In that moment, labels no longer mattered. He wasn't just a Filipino singer. He wasn't just an Elvis tribute. He was proof that music has no borders, no time limits, and no expiration date. As the night drew to a close, one truth echoed louder than the applause: this performance would not be forgotten. Clips would be replayed millions of times, comments flooding in from every corner of the world, people arguing whether Elvis had truly been reborn, others simply grateful to feel something pure again. For the singer, life would never be the same. But beyond fame, beyond competition, something deeper had happened. A boy who once listened to crackling cassette tapes in the dark had carried a legend forward, not by copying the past, but by honoring it with sincerity. Simon Cowell had heard countless voices, judged countless dreams, but that night, even he was reminded why music still matters. As the stage lights faded and the audience slowly exited, one thought lingered in the air, impossible to ignore. Elvis may have left the world decades ago, but for a few magical minutes, through one humble Filipino singer, he truly came back to life.